Let me show you how I did this wallpaper installation. I used the length of the wall that I was wallpapering, which was only halfway for me because of the board and batten, and I measured out those sections using a square and a pencil to make sure that I was able to cut the right length. I worked in 2 sections at a time, lining up the pattern and using that same length measurement. One thing you'll notice is I write the word top on the top back portion of the wallpaper and always use that as a guide. With wallpapering, you'll start to find patterns that stand out to you. For me, it was these brown sections, and they guided me as I did it. I would start in the center and kind of smooth it as I went using my hands and my smoothing tool. I bought myself a new razor blade to do this project. Let me show you how I got started. So I started to the left of the doorway, and we'll talk about that kill point. I measured just slightly less than the width of my wallpaper, so there was a little bit of overlap on the door frame. I used a level to make a guideline from the ceiling down to the board and batten that I would use to make sure the wallpaper was installed straight. As the installation happens, you'll see me checking that guideline constantly. And then it's hard to see, but there is a tiny overlap against the door frame. And the reason I did that was to prevent any gap, that I could use the razor and cut a very straight line to get started. I was careful with the razor so that I didn't rip the paper. I was really nervous with this paper when I got started, but it was pretty easy to use. Now the corners is something I'm going to show you in just a bit. Those corners can be tricky. Also, I had these shelving pieces in place, so I removed one side while wallpapering the other side, finding those anchor holes as I went and making sure the shelving was placed level. Here's my mistake. I cut a section without matching up the pattern, which was a tragic error. But I fixed it by just installing what I had and then cutting a small chunk to fit into place. And I am telling you, you don't even notice. In the process, I just had the shelves installed so they wouldn't get kicked around. There I go, installing that fix up. Look at, you don't even notice. It's so easy to mess up with wallpaper and hide those mistakes. Another aspect of this is the corners that I wanted to talk about. So when you have a corner, you're not going to want to install that huge piece of wallpaper. You're going to take the piece of paper to the wall in the section, and then you're going to kind of line it up with that pattern and just use your hand, your fingernails to kind of mark where that edge of the corner is. So you have an idea of how much you want to cut. You're going to lay it flat on the floor, and you're going to cut just a little bit more than the corner requires so that you have some overhang on that corner. And I'll show you how I did this. So you put it up just like you would regular wallpaper. It's just a lot easier to install when you are doing it in small sections. And that extra piece that you put in, so easy to just then put it up. So when you have that extra piece that you cut off, you're actually using that to install. Another obstacle I had was our light fixture. I just laid it over top and used the razor blade to cut out small parts so I could pull the light through and continue wallpapering. I got to a few inches before the door frame, and instead of cutting out an L shape, I just cut a small piece that could overlap up against the door frame. Then that top section, I matched the pattern. Again, there's a little bit of an overlap because you want to be able to customize the pattern and kind of make sure it fits together without any gaps. Now we are at the kill point. One side is going to have to match up and the other side is going to have to match up. So you'll see me use that little brown section again, like I used the whole time, and razor blade all the sections off. Now the left-hand side is not matching, so I'm using scissors to kind of cut a little edge pattern to see if I can make the flowers fit together, and I didn't like it. So I ended up cutting like a custom pattern out of the middle, leaving those 2 sections of flowers. And then I matched the left side. And again, I cut a little customized pattern to make the flowers fit together. Now this top flower, I'm telling you, is a magical experience. I can't believe I did this. You can see that the very top doesn't look perfect, so I ended up cutting out another one of those little bunch of little pieces and just overlapped it. And I am telling you, you guys, it looks awesome. I'm so happy with how this turned out.